What's good, everyone? Welcome to the PWD channel where we discuss professional wrestling. In today's video, I'm covering the June 16th, 2023 episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Sorry for missing a couple of episodes of reviews, but I'm back and I'm back on my regular schedule. Also, apologies if I'm a little bit low energy today. I am feeling a little bit sick, so my apologies for that. But I'm going to try to push through this episode and get it out to you as soon as possible. Today's entire episode was built about one thing. What is Jay's answer? I thought that they were going to answer this on last week's episode. We did not get the answer on last week's episode. They wanted to let it extend out a little bit longer, but this week we finally got the answer. What is Jey Uso going to do? Is he going to stick with the Bloodline? Is he going to leave his brother Jimmy? Is he going to choose or venture out on his own as just a solo single type of thing? What's Jay going to do? We finally got the answer tonight. Again, this whole show was built around it, and it was the main event. Honestly, it was one of the only noteworthy things on this episode. Outside of this segment, there wasn't really that much crazy that happened, so I'm really just going to discuss this thing, which again, yeah, so we had Roman come out. He made his entrance. It went through an entire segment, so we had a commercial break, his entrance, and then another commercial break. After that, Jey Uso comes out, and after that, we get some manipulation from Roman. And at first, I thought, okay, Jay's definitely gonna fall for this. While they were going through this whole manipulation process, I was like, Jay, you're being gaslit again, bro. Same old story. You're gonna continue to get gaslit. Why do you still believe in Roman Reigns? But Roman Reigns was telling him, like, you're gonna be the next tribal chief one day. We've been grooming you this whole time to make sure that when I'm done and settled down, you can become the new tribal chief. Because Jay initially told Roman, I'm going to stay or leave depending on if Paul Heyman is going to stay or leave. Jay wants Paul Heyman out of the Bloodline. And Roman Reigns was like, Jey Uso, I'm sorry, but Paul Heyman is my wise man. He's not your wise man. He's not Jimmy's wise man. He's not the Bloodline's wise man. He is my wise man. And when you're the next tribal chief, you can have your own wise man. But for now, we have been building this up. I've brought us to the promised land, but my job was only to bring us here. Your job is to keep us here. And again, you're going to be the tribal chief one day. He's talking about all these big things that are going to happen for Jey Uso, all these good potential things that could happen in the future when I'm done and settled down, when I choose to retire, and you'll step up as the main head of the table, the tribal chief. You're meant to lead one day, and you're meant to keep us in the promised land, but just not yet, Jay. You're just not ready for that yet. And the whole thing, you're blaming me, you're blaming Paul Heyman, all that stuff. The problem here, Jay, is your brother Jimmy. It's your brother Jimmy. And immediately Jimmy comes out with the mic. He's like, the problem isn't your brother Jay. The problem is our cousin, referencing Roman Reigns, because obviously it's three brothers and a cousin in this Bloodline storyline, in this faction. Jimmy's like, the problem is him. It's Roman Reigns. And Jey Uso, or Jimmy Uso's talking to Jay one-on-one, and he's like, bro, are you really gonna believe him over your own twin, your own brother, me? Uso, are you really going to believe him over me? Are you going to choose him over me? And Roman Reigns is like, look, Jay, the truth is, you can't be the tribal chief and a twin at the same time. It's just not possible. You can't do both of them. So you're going to have to choose. Either you're going to be the future tribal chief, or you're going to have to choose being a twin. There's no two ways about it. You got one or the other. That's the whole thing that Roman Reigns set up for Jimmy, or for Jay, sorry. That's what he meant. That's the whole dilemma that is going on. And then Roman asks Paul. This is when he started to manipulate Jay even more. They're taking the manipulation even further. We were like, you're going to be the future tribal chief one day, which, by the way, was probably so bullshit. We went from that to we went even more down the whole manipulation line. And Roman asked Paul, he's like, when we named Jay the right-hand man, Paul, who was the one who had a problem with it? Who was the one here who didn't like that? Who was the one who had a big problem with Jay becoming the next right-hand man and the next tribal chief? That's when it came out that Jimmy all along was the one who had a problem with it. And Jay looked distressed. He looked irate. He got extremely furious after that. Once he found out, he went up to Jimmy. He's like, Jimmy, is that true, bro? Like, is this true? And Jimmy's like, yeah. And Jay gets extremely mad. Jay starts going off on a huge tangent about, so this whole time you doubted me, I could expect him to doubt me, but you, Jimmy, you doubted me too. And he's going off. He's like, man, this whole time, I've had to deal with like being a little brother to you. I've had to always be in your shadow. You were Mr. Prom King. You were this, you were that. You always got the limelight. You were always the guy. You were always the person that I had to look at, or that I had to look up to. I was always in your shadow. And all this whole time, he just goes on this tangent. He's like, you doubted me. And then he says, you know what, Jimmy? You're out of the bloodline. And he gets in Jimmy's face and he screams at him, you're out of the bloodline. Crowd is disappointed. Roman Reigns is laughing hysterically. Paul Heyman is hyped. The bloodline is hyped. They are hyped. Jimmy Uso is finally out of the bloodline. But then Jay says, and so am I. And he turns around and super kicks Roman Reigns to hell. Roman Reigns gets super kicked like crazy. Paul Heyman is shocked. Solo Sikoa is shocked. Solo Sikoa looks at him. He charges at Jey Uso for doing that, but Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso super kick Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa rolls out the ring. Roman Reigns gets up. He starts screaming at them. After being super kicked, he gets up and starts screaming at the Usos. And then they double kick Roman Reigns. And I think that they do it again too. So they double kick Roman Reigns, I think a total of like 2 or 3 times. And Roman Reigns just looked like the world around him crumbled. It looked like when Thanos lost, when he just went and sat down and just faded to dust. That is how Roman Reigns looked. That's the perfect explanation on how Roman Reigns looked. His facial reaction to getting super kicked by Jay after being betrayed by now both of the Usos, his reaction was just like, it's over. Like, the bloodline is done. I am going to have nobody to back me up in these title matches anymore. I have now been betrayed by my cousins. I have now been betrayed by my own family. And just that whole reaction, his facial reaction, he sold it. He's like, yeah, I've lost now. And he never outright says that, but you could just tell in his facial reaction, she's like, again, I use the Thanos as an example because that's exactly how he looked. When Tony Stark snaps his fingers and Thanos just sits down realizing, I've lost. That is exactly how Roman Reigns sold it. It was beautiful. And I think another piece of this that was beautiful too was before Jimmy came out to the ring, he ran into Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn and I keep saying Jimmy, I mean Jay. When Jey Uso came out to the ring before the segment started, him and Sami Zayn ran into each other in backstage, and they didn't say a word to each other. But Sami Zayn gave him a look and a nod of approval. He gave him a nod of approval with a smile on his face. It's like, you know what you have to do. And it's like the two knew what was about to happen. And of course, Jey Uso knew what was about to happen, but crazy. We finally see Jey Uso choose, and he chooses his brother. Not surprising at all. I made a video last week talking about where is this going to go, and I said that this is going to be a potential option, and probably the most likely was that he was just going to choose his brother. Most predictable, but predictable doesn't mean bad. It was predictable, but come on, it's the Usos. We know these guys have had each other's back for the longest, and yeah, it was a great segment. We finally see Jey Uso choose his brother. So now, I think with Money in the Bank coming up in a couple of weeks, I think there's a lot of ways we can go about this. But I would really like to see the two being Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa have a little bit of a tag team match against the Usos. I would like to see that, or hey, maybe that happens, and maybe what I predicted in that video as well, where I said that potentially we could have the two on two, but then Solo Sikoa turns on Roman Reigns as well. Maybe that could happen. There's just a lot of options as to where this can go, and it's really exciting. We're finally seeing the end of the bloodline for sure, though. I think at least as a heel faction, we're finally seeing this faction come to an end. I think we're no longer going to see them, at least as a 5. You know, we have all of the cousins and the brothers and the Paul Heyman. I think as a 5, we've definitely seen the last of them. The Usos, I think we might get a little bit more running on still with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns. But I could honestly see that coming to an end very soon as well. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what happened in the segment. It was a really good segment, really good main event, and a good ending to the show. And again, on the show, not that much happened. We had a number 1 contender gauntlet match for the tag team, for the number 1 contender for the tag team championships. So we had, I think it was like Street Profits, Brawling Brutes. We had Pretty Deadly, the OC, LWO. I think, Hit Row was in there as well. It ended up coming down. It started off with Brawling Brutes and the Street Profits. Brawling Brutes actually made it all the way through the gauntlet and made it all the way to the last round, which was Pretty Deadly, but Pretty Deadly did end up getting the W, which brought Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn out because they're now going to be fighting for the titles. Those two teams are going to be fighting for the titles. Kevin Owens got annoyed because Pretty Deadly is pretty annoying. They ran down to the ring to attack Pretty Deadly, but Pretty Deadly's ran away. They're not having any of it. We also had a Santos Escobar versus LA Knight match, which surprisingly, they went with the Santos Escobar W. He ended up winning with the roll-up. I think that LA Knight is probably still going to win this match, and I think he will become the Money in the Bank holder. But we'll see what happens. I could see this going a lot of different ways. I'll do my prediction videos on that. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we make wrestling content like this weekly. Again, apologies for not uploading in the past couple of days. I missed my Friday night SmackDown review last week. I did do a community post. My Wi-Fi went out. It went out for like nearly 2 days, so I just wasn't able to upload my SmackDown review. I usually do Wednesday videos. Honestly, I just wasn't feeling it this week. And then Monday Night Raw, I was really busy during my Monday Night Raw review as well. So I wasn't able to upload my last 3 videos, unfortunately. But again, I'm here to stay. I'm here going to be creating content like this weekly. I want to thank you guys for the support recently, because we've reached like 160 something subscribers. Over the last like week, we've gained over 60 subscribers on the channel, which is freaking awesome. I want to thank you guys so much for the support. Sorry that I wasn't able to upload during that time that I was gaining these subscribers, but again, I'm here to make these reviews every single week, and I will not miss a review going forward as long as I'm able to keep my Wi-Fi on. I don't know why my Wi-Fi crapped out last Friday, but we're back, and it sucks because I did miss a good episode last Friday. A lot happened, but yeah, we're back now, and I'll be back posting these reviews every single week. Two reviews per week, and then we also have my third Wednesday show episode, which is always just a random video that I want to create depending on what's happening in the wrestling world at the time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and end this review there, guys. Let me know if you did enjoy it down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about this episode of Friday Night SmackDown. I forgot to rate it. I would rate this episode a 3.5 out of 5. Not a lot that I really cared about happened outside of the main event, but the main event segment was still really good. So 3.5 out of 5 in my opinion. Let me know what you would rate it. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Subscribe to the channel down below if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Love you all. Peace.